Sorry it's so late, but it's week 14 of What Happened on My Universe Mode! And we were in Nashville, Tennessee for Raw, which began with Rusev's Raw debut as he took on the All-American Jack Swagger and destroyed him completely. Now, amidst all the suplexes and kicks Rusev was handing out, Jack Swagger did manage to hit a Swagger Bomb, but that was it. Rusev quickly hit his finishing slam and then locked on the Accolade to take the tap-out victory. Match number 2 was Dean Ambrose, the US champion, taking on the man he beat for the title, Sheamus. The match began as evenly as you'd expect with these two high-level superstars, but once Dean Ambrose chucked Sheamus to the outside and did his crazy dive onto him, it was all him. Even when Sheamus tried to get a move, Dean Ambrose did his usual bounce back and smacked him in the face. The headlock driver came and Dean Ambrose was victorious. Next up, Seth Rollins took on Ryback once again. Despite Ryback's attack to the back of Seth Rollins' head at the start, Seth quickly came back and they traded blows for a little bit before Ryback blasted Seth to the outside. Now, while Ryback had control on the outside of the ring, back inside, Seth decided he wanted to end the match and hit a curb stomp there and then. He won the match, making him 2-0 over Ryback for the last 2 weeks. Ryback did not appreciate this and gave him a massive low blow, which wasn't very nice. Now the Shield were 2-0 for the night, with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins winning, so Roman Reigns went to make it 3-0 against Randy Orton. After the match began open, Roman Reigns took control with some beatdowns, a Samoan drop and a Superman punch, and we thought it was over. But it wasn't. Randy Orton hit an RKO, but needed something to keep him down, so he hit the punt kick, which worked. It kept him down, and while he was staying down after the match, Randy laid down a few more shots, just for good measure. Main event time on Raw, and it was the WWE Champion Brock Lesnar taking on Daniel Bryan in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And it began anywhere, or outside, which is normally where Falls Count Anywhere matches end. The match also began with big moves, starting with Daniel Bryan hitting a flying headbutt off the top rope to the outside, and then Brock Lesnar hitting a triple powerbomb on the outside. Brock Lesnar continued slamming Daniel Bryan on the outside before he hit back with some steel steps. He then got him back in the ring and hit 3 consecutive running knees to take the victory over Brock Lesnar. He celebrated with some yeses. Main event time in Orlando, Florida, and we began with Chris Jericho and Booker T taking on Raven and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And these 4 men will be contesting a fatal 4-way for the European title on our next pay-per-view special, SummerSlam Classic. So I thought it was fitting to have them all in a match before the show. As the match wore on, all 4 men got a chance to strut their stuff and show off their big moves, as Stone Cold proved they were the Stone Cold Stunner. This suplex actually turned out to be the beginning of the end for Chris Jericho, as Stone Cold tagged in Raven, who then hit a sequence of DDTs which first made him bleed and then made Chris Jericho stay down for the 3 count, as Raven and Stone Cold were victorious on the night. Match number 2, Magnum TA, who was accompanied by Ric Flair, taking on Santino Marella. And something that you probably weren't expecting, this is my match of the week. So, after the obligatory back and forth between the 2 men, Santino Marella headed to the outside where Ric Flair was there to distract him. Back in the ring, he hit a Cobra. Before getting back outside thanks to a distraction from Ric Flair, Magnum TA then took over and hit his belly-to-belly suplex to finish the match and get his first win ever, thanks to Ric Flair. Now, Kevin Nash didn't let Mr. Perfect have an entrance after Mr. Perfect attacked him last week after they won a match, and Kevin Nash got a few beatings in before Mr. Perfect hit a dropkick and then ran away, meaning Kevin Nash won by countout. A win's a win, I suppose, but I'm sure Kevin Nash will get another chance soon. Shawn Michaels was due to take on Rey Mysterio, but Batista said no, attacked Rey Mysterio and decided he wanted to take on Shawn Michaels again, You know, because he hadn't beat him already about 12 times. Despite an early beatdown from Batista, Shawn Michaels weathered the storm and got his comeback moves on. These were followed by the classic elbow drop, and he went for Sweet Chin Music, but he missed, and Batista went for a spinebuster instead and locked on the Beast Bite, which is a thing apparently. And Shawn Michaels was forced to tap out. Main event time! And just before they settled the score on pay-per-view, Triple H and The Undertaker faced off in an Extreme Rules match. As you can see, there were lots of weapon shots to go around, with baseball bats and ladders in play. The Undertaker then started hitting real moves and hit a chokeslam. When he went for the tombstone, Triple H reversed it and hit a pedigree of his own, which kept The Undertaker down for a 3 count. And then, just to be safe, Triple H hit him a few more times. Now the future was in Vegas, baby, for NXT, and we began with Adam Rose versus Corey Graves, as Adam Rose looks to end the losing streak. And if the opening of the match was anything to go by, that losing streak was going to end, until Corey Graves realised he needed to attack the leg. A few more attacks to the leg later, and he was locking in his submission move that I can't remember the name of. Unfortunately for Adam Rose, he had to tap out, meaning the losing streak is still intact. Next up, Bull Dempsey took on another cruiserweight in order to try and get his win back after losing to Kalisto last week. It didn't start well. It did get better, however, as Dempsey managed to slam Kendrick down and then beat his head in a bit. Although he then tasted a kick for his troubles. He did get back with a suplex, but as he went for his running attack, Kendrick reversed it into a pin. He kicked out, but he walked straight into a sliced bread number 2, meaning another embarrassing defeat to a cruiserweight half his size. Now, NXT champion Finn Balor took on Fandango. And Fandango did hit a couple of moves, but then it was all Balor, as the champion showed why he's champion. Once he'd got his crazy flippy spot out of the way, a top rope brainbuster and a double foot stomp put Fandango down for good. Finn Balor victorious once again. R-Truth and Xavier Woods teamed up against the Super Friends of Bam Bam Bigelow and Mojo Rawley. And the Super Friends showed how friendshipy they were with this double team move. And crazy kip-ups from fat people. The Super Friends had control until R-Truth managed to hit that back suplex. Tagged in Xavier Woods, but after a dropkick, Xavier Woods tasted the greetings from Asbury Park. He did though manage to dropkick Bam Bam to the outside, giving him and R-Truth a chance to show their friendshipy move. R-Truth danced his way into a leg drop, but that was it. Bam Bam tagged out, Mojo Rawley hit his spinny finishing arm drag thingy, and then Bam Bam hit a Bam Bam salt to give them the victory. The Super Friends only had a handshake this week, no hugs. Main event, Finlay was out for revenge after last week's attack by JBL. But Mojo Rawley came back and beat down JBL, giving Finlay the chance to just demolish him. One big move at a time, finishing it with a tombstone pile driver. Finlay wins. Finlay wins. And that of course leaves us with Smackdown, which emanated from San Diego, California, and opened with a pretty big match. Alberto Del Rio taking on Bad News Barrett. Del Rio started well with an enziguri, but then fell to a slap to the back of the head by Barrett. Barrett hit a couple more moves before Del Rio threw him into the corner. They traded a couple more moves until Del Rio decided to kick him in the face. Always a good tactic. He locked on a cross arm breaker after that, and Barrett tapped out. Now we haven't had any Divas matches this week, so we rectified this by having Cameron take on Emma in her debut. Both girls hit some pretty sweet moves, but it wasn't until Emma locked on the Tarantula, or whatever Emma pun it's called, that she got the advantage, hit a Hurricane Rana and an elbow drop for the win. Next up, Dolph Ziggler, the Intercontinental Champion, took on Darren Young, who instead of his tag team partner Titus O'Neil, had The Miz in his corner. And it didn't take long for The Miz to get involved, first taking the turnbuckle pad off while they were outside, then grabbing Dolph Ziggler. But Dolph Ziggler decided to have none of it and hit a Russian leg sweep. The Miz distracted him again, and Darren Young took that advantage and DDT'd him on the apron. It wasn't enough to keep Dolph Ziggler down though, and the little underdog, well, he overcame the odds, hitting the zigzag to win. Now the Rhodes Brothers, or the Brotherhood, were against each other today in a one-on-one match. Goldust started this one off strong with a surprise Hurricane Rana and a back suplex amongst other things. Then Cody took the control back with a super sweet moonsault and then a disaster kick. He hit the crossroads then and took the victory. But Goldust wasn't happy and slapped his brother's hand away when he tried to shake it. Now, the last match of the week, and it was the Big Show taking on Kofi Kingston, who signalled his intentions on wanting a title shot last week. Big Show probably laughed off that title challenge, and it showed as he beat the holy hell out of Kofi Kingston. It wasn't enough to keep him down though, and the comeback was on. After hitting those and a boom drop, Big Show then took the control again with a final cut. He then threw him up in the air and hit the knockout punch for the win. So a few questions from last week. Why is Ryback such a dick? Will Brock Lesnar regret letting Daniel Bryan knee him in the head 3 times? Will Kevin Nash finally get his hands on Mr. Perfect? Will Rey Mysterio get his match with Shawn Michaels? And will the Rhodes Brothers be able to get on the same page? Find out all this and more next time on What Happened on My Universe Mode. Like and subscribe.